What's up guys, in this video we are going to talk about lists, how to use them, how to add elements, how to remove elements and all that stuff. A list is contained in a variable. So for example, if we create our variable called a, but not here, a, and now we want that a contains a list, we simply have to do this. With this, a is a list. Also, there are several ways to do this. You can, for example, do this, and now A is still a list. But what is a list? A list is basically, as the name says, a list of things. So for example, if we create again A, now we can introduce some things into the list. So for example, let's say that the list is going to contain only numbers. We can say that the list has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now this list contains 5 elements which are numbered. But in the list we can have several things, like not just numbers. So for example, if I add here a message, this is totally okay. I can add all the messages I want. Also, the list can contain inside another list, like this. And now we can add some things. And yeah, this is totally okay. Like, we don't declare the list with the elements, like the elements are added before. In order to add elements into a list, we just simply take now the variable and call the append method. So for example, now we are saying, okay, in the A list, append the next element, 1. Let's say same, and now we have a list of with 6 elements which are 1s. So for example, if we print now the list, as you can see, the list is printed. We declared an empty list without anything, but we were adding elements and the elements are added. And as I said before, you can add whatever you want into the list. So for example, this here, let's add a list here that contains A and 2. And if we print this again, we have the structure that we created here. So as you can see, lists are very useful. So how do we access elements in the list? So for example, this is the element 0, the first element, but this is the element 0. This is the element 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The element 3 contains a list. So for example, we can do this. If we want just to print the element, for example, 0, the first element, we just simply type this, and now we are accessing the element 0. As you can see, 1 is printed. Now let's say we want to print this list. So we would access the element 3. The element 3 is shown, and here we have the list. But now let's say that, yeah, we want to access this list, but we also want to only access this second element. So we have to access the element 3 of the list A, and in the second list, we have to access the element 1. So we just simply do this. And you see, now we have the 2 here. Another thing is that you have to be careful with elements, because let's say that now I do this. Well, we have an error, index error, because this second list doesn't have 3 elements. The same happens if I put here 0 and another 0 here. This is not a list. So yeah, we just have this element. This doesn't exist. So we have to be careful with that. Now, we can also use some properties in order to make this easier. So for example, let's say that we don't know how many elements does this list have. We can do this, length A, and now we know that there are 6 elements in this list. 1, 2, 3, this is 1 element, 4, 5, and 6. So yeah, in this list we have 6 elements, and if we want to access the last one, it's as simple as 6 minus 1, because it is the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The element 5 is the last one, but there are there are several ways to access the last element. So for example, we could do this. Print A. Now we go to the length, and the last element is the length minus 1, 6 minus 1. Yeah, now we have the last element. Let's put here a message so this is more clear. Last element. And yeah, you see this is the last element. Another way to do this is just simply put here a minus 1. The minus 1 refers to the previous element, to the last element. Basically what we are doing is, this is the element 0, the element minus 1 is this one, the element minus 2 is this one, the element minus 3 is this one. So if we execute it, again the last element is this one. But if we put here a minus 2, it's going to be shown a 1. You see? 1. If we put here a minus 3, the list is going to be shown. As you can see, this is pretty useful, and you don't truly need to check the length and minus 1. If you just simply put minus 1 here, you will have the last element. And now how do we delete elements? One way to do this is simply put the statement del. If we put del and now we put, for example, a 0, we are going to delete the first element. So this 1 is going to be deleted. So if we print twice the list, let's remove this. We don't need this anymore. Wait. We don't need, oh wow. Okay, let's remove this. And now if we do this, you see, the first one is being deleted because, and you can check this because this list is shorter than the first one. Another way to do this is using the method remove, but with this one you have to be a little bit careful. So for example, if I put here a remove, for example, the element 0, I don't have to put 0. If I put here 0, we are going to have an error. Why? Because what remove does is looking for 0 in the list, and in the list we don't have any 0. So if I put here a 1, the first one that is in the list is going to be removed. So if we check this, now we see that there's only like this one is the one that disappeared. If we try to remove this, for example, you see this one disappeared, this one, and this one stays. So what it does remove is, okay, I will go through the list, I will start here, then here, and yeah, here is this element that we want to remove, and I remove it, and that's it. It doesn't remove every element. And you can do a lot of things with lists, like you can reverse them, and you can do plenty of things, but I leave that for you. So yeah, that was everything. I hope that you enjoyed, that you understood what lists are, and see you in the next video. Don't forget to go and check my website, in which I talk about trading and cryptocurrencies and all that stuff for a very cheap price.
Estoy bajando todo, lo siento, te quedas en nada.